Hello, hello. Welcome back, goblins and ghouls. And this is for another flip through or a flip through of my next lot of October daily prompts in my October daily journal. And these are prompts 10 to 19. I'm hoping the sun will last so I can get this filmed and then uploaded. I'd just like to point out how chunky this journal has got. Thankfully, well, I'm halfway through now, but seriously, next time I'm either going to have to make my own journal or find a journal that has a bigger spine, because as much as I try and rein in my chunky journaling, I'm never successful. So this is going to be a bit of a struggle to continue working in. And the last prompt we were on in the last flip through was day 9, which was about design, describe your ideal spooky house. So let's get on to day 10. Day 10, brains. Create your own representation of a zombie using any medium. Well, I hope I'm not cheating, but I can't really draw, and I do have some zombie stamps, but I decided I wanted to use some of this zombie fabric I've got. It's a beautiful fabric that I've been hoarding to make a journal with. And I absolutely love it because it's, you know, sort of retro 1950s style zombies. And I just think if I was going to be a zombie, or if I was going to design a zombie, it'd have to be someone from the 1950s. Someone who still looks pretty and still has her shoes on. And then for the number, I had some of this vintage crocheted doily that has this sort of light peachy colour that almost looks like lobes, brain lobes. So I thought that'd be perfect to put on there. This page already had blood splatters on, so that worked really well. And then I have this tag that says, "Zombies love you for what's on your inside," which I found quite funny. On this side, this was already here, all this kind of decoration, so I just added the word zombie and then added again some more fabric that I've got that says I love, well, I suppose that's going to be love, or I brain zombies. I love zombies. I don't know. Anyway, so I inked some of that. And then down here I use my stamps with this little zombie head in this little sort of glass jar, because obviously if you don't stab them through the brain, they're still alive. So this zombie is still alive. Maybe he's, you know, a friend and they talk together and everything. And there's a stamp on the side that says always be yourself unless you can be a zombie. Personally, zombies really scare me, which is probably why I went for something that looked less like a zombie too much and wasn't too gory. So anyway, you flip this up and there's a piece of brain fabric here that I've got, and I've just stamped the word brains, and then I've used one of my favourite Tim Holtz dies, which is this little green zombie. I just love that die. This was already here, so this worked perfectly. So that is my day 10 zombie page. Day 11 was design a costume that represents 2020. Well, there's a lot of costumes. I could have said some probably wouldn't have been appropriate to say on camera. But I decided the Plague Doctor was the way to go. So this was already here, this black sort of piece with the tea-stained paper and stitched around with the flower. And I wanted to sort of copy that onto the other page, and it decided the way I was going to design my costume is I was actually going to design a costume of the Plague Doctor. So I've got this Punchinella mask that I picked up in Florence years and years ago that I love, and I used the cloak, and I've got my little bucket because I've said over here a medieval style Plague Doctor seems the perfect costume this year. Masks and gloves are a must for protection. Instead of candy and treats, we'll be filling our buckets with pasta, toilet roll and hand sanitizer, because that's kind of how 2020 has gone. So I've got my little toilet roll in there. Because of all the colour that was on the mask and the cloak, I ended up doing some editing to my picture. So it's come out this beautiful sort of shaded monochrome black and greys, and I just used the number 11. Looked really nice there, and some paper I had. And I love the way that the lace on another page actually sort of reframes this page really well. So that is my costume of 2020, the medieval plague doctor collecting toilet rolls. Day 11, no, day 12, decorate a witch's hat. You can draw or use scrapbook paper. So I had some green spiderweb paper that I really like, but I only had a little bit less. I thought I sort of drew out this hat and cut it out, stuck the paper onto it, then stitched some black netting, because if I'm going to design a hat, it has to have some sort of fabric because it's me. Use some Tim Holtz spider webs on the background, use some satin purple ribbon, green and purple. My favorite colors are actually black and red, so I thought I'd do something a bit different, a bit more traditional Halloween. Did some flowers on there. This buckle I've been hoarding for years. I don't know why, I just have, so I used that finally. Bit of die cutting purple glitter card down here, you know, for a bit of sparkle. Did some stitching in the corners, just put hats, and then my little spider charm that moves, just to give it a bit of movement. And then over here I've put the number 12, and then just used some stickers I had in my stash and some stamps. And the stamp says, if the hat fits, get the matching shoes and broom, because you know you should. And then I just stapled some lace onto the edges. Now on the other side, we need to stick that sticker down, stamped another hat and stitched around it, used some washi that I had, another little sticker, and I just wrote about how I absolutely, in real life, love hats. And instead of doing my witch's hat, because I actually took a picture of myself in my witch's hat in my other October journal, this was already on here in the journal, I took a picture of some of my favourite hats I own. So one of them is this one, and I suppose it looks like a bit like a Where's Wally hat, but it's a knitted hat, and it has this long sort of trail bit that you can wrap around like a scarf, and it ends in a pom-pom, and I love that hat. And then the other one's this kind of gothic Victorian hat, so it's black and white fabric on top, it's got like corseting on the front, has these black roses and a skull cameo and some lace hanging down the back. So I love hats, had to design a witch's hat, and then took a picture of some of my favourite hats. Day 13, if you were Dr. Frankenstein, what would your creature look like? Well, Frankenstein's monster is one of my favourite creatures, I suppose traditional Halloween creatures. And I decided to make my creature a bit more fun and friendly. So there's these paper dolls, it's an Etsy shop, I think she's called JLeeloo. I shall leave the link down below, and she has quite a few really fun paper dolls. And this was a set of 3 different ones, and I've used body parts from all the different dolls. His little legs move, his little arms move, his little head moves. So if I was going to have a Halloween creature, it would look quite cute. My monster would definitely have to have some sort of pumpkin head because it's Halloween. As I've just said, love hats. So my monster's got a hat. Little bobbly eye, stitched a button on because I love buttons. Put some little hearts on the outside of his chest because you could, you know, replace them. His arms are 2 different lengths, but he would just be a fun creature. And then over here, this is, it says it's live. This is from a Release the Crafting digital, and I put a little glassine bag that I've put extra body parts, and you can just see in the glassine bag there's faces in there, and there's extra legs, really long legs, and extra arms and bits. So my creature would be able to, rather than body parts from other people, I don't really like that, my creature would be able to change his legs and arms from these other weird and wonderful bits that I've created lying around. And he'd have to have stripy socks because I do love stripy socks and tights. And say he wanted to reach up to a really tall shelf, he'd be able to, because he'd be able to swap his legs out for longer legs and everything. So that is my creature. Day 14, who is your favourite movie, TV or book witch? Write a pen pal letter from them. Well, at first I thought they said fan letter, because sometimes my brain doesn't work very well, especially when I'm really, really busy. I'm sure we all have days like that. And then I reread it as pen pal, and I thought, oh, that's much easier. So I so many witches to choose from. I've just finished a book called The Witch and the Woman, and I love the old witch in there, so she was a possibility. There's the head witch from Roald Dahl's The Witches. There's the witches from the Golden Compass. There's the witches from Hocus Pocus. There are so many possibilities, but I ended up going with Frances Owen from Practical Magic because that is probably one of my top time favourite films, not just Halloween, just favourite films. And so I used, this is lavender. I had this vintage herb book, and so I cut out the lavender in the background because they talk about lavender in the movie. And then I had this handmade paper envelope with flowers and things on it because, you know, I think they'd make their own paper. I used several different colours of green wax to make a little pentacle wax seal, and then some sari silk tie. And then I made a fake Polaroid of Jilly, and this is from the movie Jilly and Sally, and it looks like a Polaroid picture because they wouldn't have any fangled dangled digital stuff, and a little paperclip, so it looks like the paperclip's holding the picture onto the envelope in my journal, but it's not. Obviously it's stuck down. And then I had some almost vintage style wallpaper that someone had sent me. Oh, the texture, you hear that? The texture's just delicious. And I thought, well, you know, Frances is probably using what she's got lying around, so maybe they've got some old wallpaper. Anyway, my letter goes as follows. Dear Belle, the summer is almost at an end, and Jet and I have been busy harvesting herbs and fruit from our garden. As requested, I've sent you some rosemary to use in protection pouches and a Samhain ritual. In my last letter, I told you of how our 2 young nieces, Jilly and Sally, came to stay with us. They are still getting used to the ways of our home, though they love the way they can have cake for breakfast and can stay up dancing under the moon all night. Sally already shows a natural magical ability, but is more cautious soul. I worry about Jilly. She is a girl with adventure in her soul and a restless spirit. A cloud hangs over her that Jet and I can see, but whatever charms we make or spells we whisper, the cloud never leaves. It will soon be time for Jilly and Sally to attend the local school, and I worry they will struggle to make friends because of the fear we Owens women inspire in our town. Jet and I have never minded how the town reacts to us. It can even be quite fun to unsettle them. Yet I fear that as a child, Sally has a desire to fit in, while Jilly will be happy to play alone and live in a world of magic. Sally will want friends, sleepovers, birthday party invites, and maybe even, dun dun dun, try out for a cheerleading squad. So that's a very American thing. Anyway. Jet wanted me to thank you for the elderberry tonic you sent. It will come in handy as the colder weather draws in. All of us also enjoyed the ginger and apple cake recipe you sent. The girls ate it for breakfast, lunch and supper one day, and even I thought that was a bit too unhealthy. Anyway, Jet is calling from the kitchen. I will leave it there for now. I will send this letter on an evening wind. Until the next time, be safe, my dear friend, from Frances Owen. So that just fits in there. You know, lots of references to bits in the movie. Why is that not going in? Fits in there. And then because I've only stuck half the envelope on, you can still actually lift it up to be able to wrap the sari silk around. Here's some rosemary, and I've stitched it into this packet and used some washi to hold it on from my garden. And then there's another Polaroid here, or fake Polaroid, or real Polaroid, it would be fake, of the house, and a printable again by Release the Crafting that says, always throw salt over your left shoulder, keep rosemary by your garden gate, plant roses and lavender for luck, and fall in love whenever you can, which is obviously from the movie. And also that day I went shopping with my son, and I brought this little Nosferatu, and I've made a little like card with the Nosferatu thing on it. That goes in there with the bat, and this is it. Oh my gosh, when I see it say little, I mean little. Look how tiny that is. And it even has a little stand, an itty bitty stand, so it can stand up. His arms move, his head moves, he glows in the dark, he comes out here. And there's 4 others. There's Dracula and Frankenstein's monster and the Invisible Man, and oh my gosh, I'm just in love. Anyway, just in love. And this was already here, this beautiful sack with the skull and all the decorations. So I just added a few bits and some washi and wrote books. And this is where I'm going to keep my reading list of all the books I have read this October. Got 2 more to add to there. One of the books I read was called The Mercies, and it's sort of a fictional story that was inspired by the witch trials in Norway, specifically the fishing village of Vardø, when 91 people were murdered. Some were the indigenous population, the Sami, who were just murdered, burnt as witches because of their sort of pagan by the Christians beliefs. The others were women. Anyway, that's a really good book. I highly recommend it, The Mercies. And it talks about a witch, sort of witch trials that most of us don't really know about, you know, or don't know as well about. So I just covered that with some beautiful fabric. Prompt 15, day 15 was design your own graveyard. I think that's fairly explanatory. Lots of Tim Holtz. Use Tim Holtz inks, use like blues and purples in the sky, Tim Holtz ghosts that I've embossed, the Tim Holtz, I always forget what to call them, railings, fencing and gate, they're all embossed. I've used gloss, I don't know if that picks up, but I've used gloss on the bats so they kind of shimmer. Tim Holtz skeleton there, and I've given him a little witch's hat. And then a little frog down there and a little cat. So that is my graveyard scene. Day 16, I had to do a different page because it didn't work with the other page. You'll see in a minute. Anyway, 16 was write about or create a scene from one of your favourite Halloween movies. Well, it is Hocus Pocus. My surname is actually Sanderson, and I do have 2 other sisters. So we are the actual Sanderson sisters. Many others think they are, but no, we are the Sanderson sisters, and I am Winifred. So I've used, I've used some images that I just found online and printed off. And then done some stitching up here because that reminds me of Billy's mouth, the way it's sewn. This little cat, obviously, is Zachary Binks. And it's cut out of velvet fabric paper, so it's got a really lovely texture and spectacular. I've used lots of purples and greens because, you know, that's Winifred for me. Some boots down here, and the hat up there. My friend had sent me a drawing of a fabulous candle, so I've coloured it in. I've tried to do some markings on it to make it look like the black frame candle. And then I've done like a fake tombstone and copied the basic design off the actual tombstone for William Butcherson. And we've got the little devil's trident thing there, because one of my favourite scenes is when they meet Master, the man dressed up as devil. And they think it's the actual devil, and then they get chased out by the dog and his wife. And another one of my scenes is when they're walking out of the school where they've been put in the incinerator, and the smoke's coming off them, and Winifred's like slapping her clothes and going, "Je voudrais un livre." And the boots are down there because I love the way they kind of walk down the road, but also when she starts to turn to stone, her boots are the first thing that curl up. I just love it. Everything about this movie. The first bit when the village people are knocking on the door going, "Open up, witches," and they're like, "Witches? No witches here. It's just us 3 old kindly ladies." And then one of them pipes in, "Yes, sucking the soul out." Anyway, I'm not going to go into it all. You've either watched the film or you haven't. And I just love the whole film. So that was my day 16. Lots of different scenes and lots of kind of memories. Day 17 was a fortune teller hands you a card and says it's the key to your fate. Collage the card and what does it look like? So this page, the reason I used this page for 17 and put 16 on the other page is because it had these rose cutouts that you could slide things into, and I just thought it worked better for the fortune teller than for Hocus Pocus page. So we've got this fabric here with all stars and moons. If we lift it up, here is my fortune teller sitting at her table. This is like a sticker or card thing that I got sent in some Happy Mail. I drew out my tablecloth and cut out the bottom bits, and there she is with her crystal ball. And obviously every fortune teller has to have a cat. Use some Tim Holtz paper in the background. I just love that paper. It's just all the greens and the blues and everything. And so that covers her up, because obviously when you walk into a psychic's shop or something, there's always a curtain that needs to be moved. Put the number 17 down here. I had this in my stash that says Tuesaya Tarot Palm Reading. So I cut that out almost as if it's the sign to a shop. And I used some moon paper that I had and used a crystal ball on the back. So this is the back of the card and this is the front. It's all collaged with like vintage music paper and vintage book paper. And then has this image of this kind of witchy woman there and die cut. And I've just used some Tim Holtz clippings, and it says, the strange story in the shadow of the trees 100 years ago. One who walks by your side, the old witch, was buried good and proper. Remember the tale. So the key to my fate is remembering this tale about this old witch who is buried in the woods. And, you know, what might that mean? It's all very mystical. Da, 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 da. Anyway, so that's my fortune teller page. I really like how it turned out. So there's day 16. Day 18. Oh, this is a bit that it had all these pockets. So I'm just putting things in here that I've got, like when my witch casket arrived and the bits that I got this year and one of the postcards. And then this is sent for my little friend. So every year we do a Halloween Advent. Not every year. This is our second year of doing the Halloween Advent. And I'm just marking down on the back of there what I'm getting on what days, so I can remember. So they go in there and then I'll put something there. Day 18 was create a ghost. Is it friendly or scary? So this is my ghost. I drew a very basic ghost shape because, again, I can't draw. And you can see it's friendly because it's smiling. And over here it says a ghost. It's got one of the Tim Holtz ghost cards. I think it's a Tim Holtz one. It might not be. It might be from something else. I've used another die cut to say happy haunting and black and white striped paper and this little ghost that glows in the dark and some ghost washi. Down here it says boo. And basically this is a friendly ghost because this is the ghost of Halloween papers past. Make myself chuckle. Yeah, so this ghost is made up of all different scraps of different Halloween papers that I've got in my scrap box. And I've just stitched them all. So I've made like a Franken paper stitched Halloween scrap ghost. And he's friendly. And then my friend a few years ago sent these little things that sort of count down to Halloween. And this is 13 days to Halloween. So these will now be stuck on each page. And that is my ghost. I think he's quite cute, if I do say so myself. Page 19. It's getting hard to hold the book. Create a haunted doll. So I don't know if any of you have been watching Bly Manor, based on the Henry James novel. Anyway, Turn of the Screw. Turn of the Screw. That's it. Anyway, I really didn't want to create too much of a creepy doll because there's dolls in that manner and I'm a little bit superstitious. And yeah, so I went back on JLeeloo Etsy shop. And she's got a couple of voodoo doll kits that you can print off. And obviously they can move if you want them to, like my Frankenstein monster. And so I cut it. I took the two voodoo dolls. There's two in the kit. And sort of mix and match them again. So I used the arms from one, the head from another, and so on. And I created my doll using the voodoo dolls from that. And then I made my own dress, again out of lace, over card. It's got double ribbon down there. It's got these buttons cut on it. Try and get it up really close. It's got this little ribbon here. It's got this really horrible hair yarn stuff that's just creepy looking. And then I've stitched its eye here because it was stitched anyway, and then on its other eye I'm hoping you can see that I've actually used crackle glaze. I'm hoping that's picking up, so it looks like the eye is the only glass thing on it. It's made out of rags. So that is my creepy doll, and it still creeps me out a little bit. It's got some gems down here. So this was the first day of the Halloween Advent, and I like to use bits of the wrapping or whatever on my pages in my October Daily of the Advent. So this ribbon was actually on my Halloween Advent present, this purple ribbon. I just put some black on top of it, and this little bug down here was on the wrapping, so I put that on there. It says 12 days to Halloween down there. And then on this side I had this image of this. Is quite ghostly, and you can't really see it now because I've covered it again in crackle paste. I'm hoping it's picking up, but it's of this woman with her head twisted weird and blindfolded, and that to me is the ghost. She's a witch, and that to me is the ghost that's in this doll. She's not necessarily a bad witch, but still a bit creepy. And then I've used some flock paper and some die cut down here, and again the 19, I'm really hoping that picks up, has crackle paste on it just like on there. And then I've used the word haunted and used some stitching around it. So this witch here, who might have been burnt at the stake, or who knows, maybe she's the witch in the woods from the fortune teller page, she's the lady who haunts this doll. And I've done it in this kind of picture frame because it just reminds me of the pictures in old houses of people you'd see, like in a whole old creepy house. And I wanted to use the crackle glaze to give it a kind of old, creepy, crackled sort of look. So yeah, my haunted doll is a bit creepy and gothicy, and it looks like something Wednesday Addams would own actually. Can you see the eye? I'm hoping the eye really picks up with the crackle glaze. I don't know if it will. Anyway, sorry. So that is my days 10 to 19. And if you've stayed with me for all this, thank you very much. It's been a lot to talk about, a lot of days, and I'm now working obviously on day 20 and more. Let me know what you think down below. As always, I love hearing your comments, and I will be back again soon with another flip through. Can you believe this month's just flying by on a broom? But already, when I'm filming this, it's day 21. Oh, 10 days left of the month. Anyway, thank you for watching. October blessings, and I will be back again soon. Bye, everyone.